The youth often makes the mistake of coveting the temporary gains of immoral, unjust plans, but neglects to look ahead and observe the penalties which follow as definitely as night follows day, follows day, follows day.
Welcome back to No Narc Network TV, Oshun Ajay exclusive, and River Queen Conjure. I am the Oracle, Oshun Ajay, and we are on lesson 19 of Dissecting the Devil, you guys. So as we dissect the devil, keep in mind that we are also dissecting the psychological profile of the diabolical narcissist. It is my own personal theory that they are, in fact, one and the same. We are on lesson 19, guys. I'm not going to hold you up. Let's get it.
This is pretty deep stuff, Your Majesty. Let us get back to the discussion of lighter and more concrete subjects that are likely to interest the majority of people. I'm interested in discussing the things that make people happy and miserable, rich and poor, sick and healthy. In brief, I'm interested in everything that can be used by human beings to make life pay satisfactory dividends in return for the effort that one puts into the business of living.
Very well. Let us be definite.
You have my idea. Your Majesty has a tendency to stray off into abstract details which most people can neither understand nor use in the solution of their problems. Could that, by any chance, be a definite plan of yours to answer my questions with indefinite answers?
The worst thing you can do is look for answers or try to force an answer from a narcissist, okay? Because they know what's going on with you. They know that you want closure. You want to have some sort of meaning as to why and what happened, what went down with them. They know this, so they're only gonna give you the runaround, okay? They're only going to give you a runaround and keep you in that loop, keep you in that, it's like they cause mania in the victim, where the victim becomes obsessed with wanting to know what, why, where. You know, they do this on purpose, guys. Know this. This is not something that they just do by happenstance. They do this on purpose.
If that is your plan, it is a slick trick, but it will not work.
And this is to keep you still hurting and pain once they leave you, or once they have left you, okay? And many of you will, in most cases, find that the answers that you're looking for, you'll never get. I can promise you that. You won't get those answers. You will not get those answers. And the more you look for them, the more they're going to send you on this wild goose egg hunt with all these other variables and things that don't make any sense. So it is up to you to be able to pull yourself out, okay? Pull yourself out of the situation. Don't look for an answer, but try to come to grips, try to come to terms with the loss, with the loss, with the loss.
Go ahead now, and tell me something more of the miseries and failures of human beings growing directly out of indefiniteness.
Why not permit me to tell you more of the pleasures and successes of people who understand and apply the principle of definiteness?
I observe that sometimes people with definiteness of plan and purpose get what they ask from life, only to find after they get it that they do not want it. What then?
Generally, one can get rid of whatever is not wanted by application of the same principle of definiteness with which the thing was acquired. A life that is lived with fullness of peace of mind, contentment, and happiness always divests itself of everything it does not want.
So you have to let go of that.
Anyone who submits to annoyance by things he does not want is not definite.
That you have to let go.
He is a drifter.
You have to let go.
What about married people who cease to want each other? Should they separate? Or is it true that all marriages are made in heaven, and the contracting parties are, therefore, forever bound by their bargain, even though it may prove to be a poor one for both?
First, let me correct that old saying that all marriages are made in heaven. I know of some which were made on my side of the fence. Minds which do not harmonize should never be forced to remain together in marriage or any other relationship.
You have to let go.
Friction and all forms of discord between minds lead inevitably to the habit of drifting, and of course to indefiniteness.
Aren't people sometimes bound to others by a relationship of duty, which renders it impractical for them to take from life what they want most?
Duty is one of the most abused and misunderstood words in existence. The first duty of every human being is to himself.
Focusing on yourself and self-love.
Every person owes himself the duty of finding how to live a full and happy life. Beyond this, if one has time and energy, not needed in the fulfillment of his own desires, one may assume responsibility for helping others.
So a narc will only help you if they don't need their time and energy and resources to fulfill their own desires, okay? A light worker, however, is fulfilling their own desires when they are helping others, because in turn they are also helping themselves, okay?
Isn't that a selfish attitude? And isn't selfishness one of the causes of failure to find happiness?
I stand by my statement that there is no higher duty than that which one owes himself.
Just concentrate on your breathing and make sure you're taking your spiritual baths, that you're doing your smudging, that you're doing all of the protection that you need, and that you're grounding yourself. Tiger's Eye helps me ground myself. Tiger's Eye and red jasper is another good stone to help you ground yourself, okay, if you're having trouble grounding, okay?
Doesn't a child owe something in the way of duty to its parents, who gave it life and sustenance during its periods of helplessness?
Not at all. It is just the other way around. Parents owe their children everything they can give them in the way of knowledge.
The key word here is knowledge, not material things, okay?
Beyond that, parents often spoil instead of helping their offspring by a false sense of duty.
I want this all now. Now!
Which prompts them to indulge their children.
This is limited edition. See? Look at the puppies. It's beautiful.
Put it back.
No!
Instead of forcing them to seek and gain knowledge at first hand.
I see what you mean. Your theory is that too much help thrust upon the youth encourages him to drift and become indefinite in all things.
We're getting it no matter what.
No, put it back.
No.
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 Put it back.
But this is the same.
Put it back. I'm
difference.
gonna close your mouth with a gorilla. Okay?
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm getting this, Mom.
No. Put it back.
I'm
No.
getting this.
No. Put it back.
I'm getting this.
No, you're not getting that. No, that's too expensive. That's $50. Nope, you're not getting that. That's $50. Nope. Oh, come on, let's go. Come on.
No!
You believe that necessity is a teacher of great sagacity, that defeat carries with it an equivalent virtue, that unearned gifts of every nature may become a curse instead of a blessing. Is that correct?
You have stated my philosophy perfectly.
Happy birthday! That's yours. I got a watch me do my thing. What the hell? I don't want my car now!
So because her mom didn't bring the car at the exact moment that she needed for her grand presentation, her whole entire day is ruined.
Mom got me my car now. I told her not to get it. I wanted to do my party. I didn't want the car. That's not even the car you wanted.
That's not even the car that she wanted, so therefore her mom...
But she's such an idiot. She just ruined the whole party.
By not reading her mind and delivering to her the perfect specimen of her imagination, her mom has just ruined
everything. She just ruined everything.
And therefore...
Party's off. I say you ruined my life.
And...
hate you. We're leaving. The party's off. The party's off.
My belief is not theory, it is fact.
Then you do not advocate prayer as a means of gaining desirable ends.
On the contrary, I do advocate prayer, but not the sort of prayer that consists of empty, begging, meaningless words.
The reason why when you pray, you're supposed to pray inwardly and understand that praying is not begging. And the first thing you have to know that prayer, is desire and meditation.
Why is the only effective prayer a combination of desire and meditation, you ask? Check it out.
It says, as man slipped further and further down into the physical terrain, his forces dried up to 5 senses. And the 5 senses was the only thing that he could tell that he was alive. And as a result, he became a slave of the 5 senses and the physical world.
The greatest prayer that anyone can pray, it is actually written in, I think, St. John chapter 11, where he talk about Lazarus was called forth from the dead, which is basically showing you that you can resurrect anything or bring anything to life if you have faith enough in yourself.
Metaphysical and a spiritual practice of getting back to the inner child.
Likely need to heal your inner child, okay? And the reason you need to do that is so that you can teach others how to do it, okay? This is going to be the core of your work in whatever way that you're going to do that.
Child.
And it is said that the Christ and the Christ represent your higher self. And anything else that ever would be made, it must first be imagined.
Camite said that what we call physical earth and life on the earth is the graveyard stage. It was the stage after the gods died. This realm, they started emitting dreams, and this became the illusionary world.
So for those of you who might not have caught that, he just stated that your reality is but a dream world being emitted by the gods after death. Okay?
This terrain is an illusion.
Life is but a dream.
So if this is the goddamn matrix, why the hell you gonna be humble to the matrix? And the Camite, that's why you always see them dealing with death.
This is also why you see a lot of spiritualists or quote-unquote witches dealing with death.
Because that was the other realm.
The realm of the ancestors.
And even their God is a God of death. The Lord of the dead. That is for a reason. Because they was trying to indicate that this particular earth was not important at all. It was a jailhouse and a prison. You go to India, it's the same thing. You go to Greece, it's the same thing. You see? The later day religions of 2,000 years ago, what made it a slave thing is they started focusing on the physical life and moralism as a moral code as it pertains to physical life. That's not your abode. That puts you deeper into slavery.
Spiritual slavery is when you allow a book given to man by man to restrict the natural sense of freedom that your spirit knows. Rigid rules and judgments are incorporated into the timeless truths that exist in these books, which causes the devout follower to feel obligated to accept those things that are not true, ultimately ending in confusion and the continued perpetuation of the human condition of being stuck in the matrix. Each of these books is a collection of divinely inspired instructions and narcissistic commandments from the finite minds of the sons of men. In its essence, every religious text
is a book put in the words of the ancient black people's soul.
Some of the first religious writings come from the ancient Sumerians, okay? And books like the Bible, the Quran, and other religious texts are small pieces and portions of older and greater writings, hence the word scripture.
This is something that you are supposed to behave like them because you don't have that soul to behave like them. So we'll give you a book. This is for the soulless people.
In other words, religion teaches the narcissist or the quote-unquote soulless how to act like humans.
But a dog don't need no book to be no dog. You got to understand what it is to be God, goddammit.
When you finally learn the lesson that Jesus, Buddha, and all of the ascended masters were trying to teach you, that you are in fact God in the flesh, your prayer becomes a thanksgiving of the fact that this is so.
Thank you, Father, for hearing me, for I know that you always hear me. Teaching you that praying is thanksgiving. The
sort of prayer against which I am helpless is the prayer of definiteness of purpose.
I never thought of definiteness of purpose as being a prayer. How can it be?
Definiteness is in effect the only sort of prayer upon which one can rely. It places one in the way of using hypnotic rhythm to attain definite ends, by the mere act of appropriating it from the great universal storehouse of infinite intelligence.
Thank you, Father, for hearing me, for I know that you always hear me.
The appropriation, in case you are interested, takes place through definiteness of purpose.
Yeah, you have to be definite about what you want.
Persistently pursued.
And then you have to go into prayer, which is meditation.
Why do the majority of prayers fail?
They don't. All prayers bring that for which one prays.
And see that which you desire through your mind's eye.
But you just said that definiteness of purpose is the only sort of prayer upon which one can rely. Now you say that all prayers bring results. What do you mean?
There is nothing inconsistent about it. The majority of people who pray go to prayer only after everything else fails them. Naturally, they go with their minds filled with fear that the prayers will not be answered.
Conception takes place within the mind.
Well, their fears are realized. The person who goes to prayer with definiteness of purpose and faith in the attainment of that purpose puts into motion the laws of nature, which transmute one's dominating desires into their physical equivalent.
When you have a desire, do not let it go until you see it in your mind's eye, and until you see it as a finished work, until you see the manifestation. When you see the manifestation, then you let it go, because now you're planting the seed and you're waiting on that harvest.
That is all there is to prayer.
So desire and meditation will bring manifestation. And that's the whole process of creation. From Genesis 1 to Revelation 22. It's all have to do with the human psyche. So you have to know what is your desire. You have to be definite about what you want.
One form of prayer is negative and brings only negative results.
When you pray in fear, you create more fear.
One form is positive and brings definite positive results.
Pray in certainty, and you become certain.
Could anything be more simple? People who whine and beg God to assume responsibility for all their troubles and provide them with all the necessities and luxuries of life are too lazy to create what they want and translate it into existence through the power of their own minds.
In other words, narcissists are too busy complaining, whining, making excuses, and blaming others to manifest.
When you hear a person praying for something that he should procure through his own efforts, you may be sure you are listening to a drifter.
And a narcissist.
Infinite intelligence favors only those who understand and adapt themselves to her laws. To her laws. To her laws. She makes no discrimination because of fine character or pleasing personality. These things help people negotiate their way through life more harmoniously with one another. But the source from which prayer is answered is not impressed by fine feathers. Nature's law is, know what you want, adapt yourself to my laws, and you shall have it.
Does that harmonize with the teachings of Christ?
Perfectly. Also, it harmonizes with the teachings of all truly great philosophers.
Is your theory of definiteness in harmony with the philosophy of man of science?
Definiteness is the major difference between a scientist and a drifter. Through the principle of definiteness of purpose and plan, the scientist forces nature to hand over her most profound secrets. It was through this principle that Edison uncovered the secret of the talking machine, the incandescent electric light, and scores of other benefits for mankind.
Then I understand that definiteness is the first requisite for success in all earthly undertakings. Is that right?
Exactly. Anything which teaches people to examine facts and coordinate them into definite plans.
I also want to encourage you guys to do your journal work, okay? Because it's going to be very helpful.
Accurate thinking is hard on my profession.
And now my mindset has done a complete 360, okay? And yours is going to as well.
If this thirst for definite knowledge now spreading over the world keeps up, my business will be shot to pieces within the next few centuries. I thrive on ignorance, superstition, intolerance, and fear, but I cannot stand up under definite knowledge properly organized into definite plans in the minds of people who think for themselves.
It makes sense to me.
Why don't you take over omnipotence and manage the whole works in your own way?
You might as well ask why the negative portion of the electron doesn't take over the positive portion and run the entire works. The answer is that both the positive and the negative charges of energy are necessary to the existence of the electron.
The journey comprises of balancing yin and yang. Okay, once you have complete balance of those energies, then you have power. Okay, you have all the power in the universe to manifest what you want. Okay, you begin to do the work that you were born. You are equipped at that time to do the work that you were born to do. Okay, but the reason that you have had a difficult life and a difficult childhood is because you had to actually live through that experience, and even the experiences that you live through now. You know, a lot of you being narcissistic, abuse survivors and things like that. You live through those things in order to be able to actually, you have to walk that path, because there's a big difference in knowing the path and walking the path. Okay, a lot of people can tell you about the path, but if they can't tell you from experience, there's a big difference.
For example, as you're dancing the dance of Oshun,
Pobrecita, you know how to make a bitch mad. Pobrecita. Me encontraste en un momento cuando aún no era tiempo y nació aquel sentimiento que en ti estaba creciendo, creciendo.
As you're rolling your shoulders, as you're moving your hip, as you are articulating the arms and you're making these graceful, fluid movements that show off your arms and show off your waist. You laugh as you dance, you smile, you actually begin to feel that seductive, flirtatious, sensual, lighthearted energy that Oshun represents, Oshun represents, Oshun represents as you're
in my room all by myself. I belong to somebody else. Cause Clarence, I know you want it. But I belong to somebody else. Wanna be together, but she can't act on it. Cause I belong to somebody else. Okay, Clarence, you gonna leave me alone once and for damn all. Okay, so this ends lesson 19, you guys. Click the links in the description for Oshun Ajay exclusive and Badass Witch exclusive if you'd like to join the private No Narc network. If you'd like to donate and support the channel, my Cash App and PayPal links are also in the description box. And until we meet again, my people, keep it classy, keep it clean, and do what you gotta do to make shit happen. Peace.